If you're like me, you might love a little bit of conflict. Now, conflict's not a bad word. Conflict means that we're figuring stuff out. It just matters if we're respectful and if we all come out of the other end of it better than when we went in. So let's have a little bit of a look at the neural mechanisms that underlie conflict and how it relates to social awareness. Now, whether you love conflict like me or you don't like conflict, well, like most other people, it's a ubiquitous aspect of human interaction. We can't avoid it. It's there in everyday life and it occurs in many forms. And often it's the form of conflict that matters rather than the conflict itself, because conflict could be minor disagreements or conflict could be full-blown wars. And when we're talking about full-blown wars, I don't like that kind of conflict. But these daily disagreements, these daily debates, these conversations that light us up, that have a little bit of friction and have a little bit of tension, they're good, right? While conflict is often viewed negatively, it can also have positive outcomes like increased creativity, improved problem-solving skills, enhanced social awareness, and better genuine connectivity with the people around you. You know, they always say that you're not really in a relationship until you've had your first fight, because we need to know not only that we can disagree, but that we can disagree and we can move on, and it's not going to affect anything on a fundamental level. Now, one of the key brain regions that's involved in conflict processing is the anterior cingulate cortex, and your ACC is located in the medial prefrontal cortex, right around here, and it plays a critical role in regulating emotional and cognitive processes, including attention, decision-making, and conflict monitoring. So your ACC really sits in your prefrontal cortex, which has a lot to do with executive functioning, but it's a bit of a highway and an intersection for emotional regulation as well. So it's sort of like it plays a big part in connecting everything up. And studies have shown that activity in the ACC is increased during conflict situations, which shows us its involvement in conflict resolution. Now, that's not all that's going on. Another important brain region involved in conflict processing is your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. And I don't know why they shorten it to DLPFC, but your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, that's located in the lateral prefrontal cortex, and it's involved in executive functions like planning and working memory and decision making. So this plays a role in resolving conflicts by inhibiting inappropriate responses and selecting the most appropriate response based on the context. So you're probably thinking, I know people that don't even have that, right? There's people that never really inhibit their inappropriate responses. But it's all context-based and it's all outcome-based and it's all objective, right? So we need to try and understand it a little bit deeper. Now, there's other things going on here. There's your insula, there's your amygdala that have also been implicated in conflict processing. So in addition to those regions, we've got other stuff going on when it comes to conflict processing. And your insula is involved with interoception. This is where your senses understand the internal state of your body and also the processing of bodily sensation. And this is involved in detecting changes in our bodily state. Now, when we look at things like emotional processing, this might be involved in the evaluation of the emotional significance of conflict-related stimuli. So just how relevant is this? How significant is this to me that's going on? And that sort of determines whether we sit at a 1 or a 10 when we're trying to resolve this conflict. Now, the neural mechanisms that underlie conflict are also closely related to social awareness. Now, social awareness refers to the ability to perceive and understand the emotions, the intentions, and the perspective of other people. And this is critical for successful social interactions. Now, conflict, as I said before, it can actually enhance social awareness, and it does that by increasing our ability to understand other people's perspectives and their emotions. Now, one way in which conflict can enhance social awareness is by increasing empathy. And empathy is that ability to share and to understand the emotions of others. And it's thought to be mediated by mirror neurons. We've heard of mirror neurons by now. These are located in your premotor cortex, and they're activated when we observe other people's actions or their emotions. Now, here's the thing, right? Conflict can increase activation in the mirror neuron system as well. So this indicates that conflict may enhance our ability to understand other people and other people's emotions. And that's pretty exciting and that's pretty interesting. So don't always be too worried about conflict. Conflict gives you, and how people respond to conflict gives you a little window into that person's past experiences and their past environment and who they are. And if you just listen to what's not being said and just pay attention to the non-verbal cues, you're going to learn a lot more about that person than what they maybe even be willing to tell you. Now, one way that this works is when conflict happens, we understand somebody's perspective a little bit better. So it increases our perspective taking. And this refers to the ability to understand the thoughts and the feelings of others from their point of view. And this is mediated by the anterior cingulate cortex. So there have been studies that have shown that conflict can increase in the anterior cingulate cortex, and this indicates that it may enhance our ability to take other people's perspectives as well. So again, conflict is not all doom and gloom and bad, bad, bad. There's a lot of benefits. It just matters how we handle it. So it is really important to note that not all conflicts lead to enhanced social awareness, okay? There are negative outcomes, and this is the reason why we think that conflict is negative, because conflict can lead to negative outcomes if we let it, such as increased aggression, such as prejudice, and also stereotyping. And one factor that might determine whether conflict leads down a positive or a negative path is the nature of the conflict. For example, conflicts that are based on misunderstandings or differences in opinion, they may be more likely to lead to positive outcomes, while conflicts that are based on deep-seated beliefs or ingrained cultural values may be more likely to lead to negative outcomes. That's because the neural mechanisms that underlie conflict and its relation to social awareness are very complex. They're very multifaceted. They're not as straightforward as saying be nice and everybody will be nice. So while conflict can enhance social awareness by increasing empathy, perspective taking, it can also lead us down a dark path, which is negative outcomes, aggression and stereotyping. And that depends on the nature of the conflict and how the people involved in that conflict handle that conflict. Now, the good news is we are researching this, so we are going to be able to continue to explore it and to shed more light on the neural process that underlie conflict and social awareness. And this is going to help us to inform the development of interventions that are aimed at improving conflict, resolving it in a peaceful way, and resolving it in a way that leads us to positive outcomes, better understanding, better genuine connection, more connection, more awareness, and more social interaction. So don't be scared of conflict. Just make sure that you are heading it down a path of good outcomes and productive outcomes. And if you do that, hey, everything will be okay. Bye now.